Hare Krishna. Om Namo Ya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we will read from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 1, text number 15. Panchajanyam Rishikesho Devadattam Dhananjayaha Poundram Dadmau Mahashankam Bhimakarma Vrukodaraha Panchajanyam Rishikesho Devadattam Dhananjayaha Poundram Dadmau Mahashankam Bhimakarma Vrukodaraha. Translation. Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya. Arjuna blew his Devadatta. The Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean tasks, blew his terrific conch shell called Poundra. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Also 14th verse also I will read out. Tata sveter hayair yukte mahati syandane stito madavaha pandavaschaiva divyau shankau pradadmatuhu. On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjuna, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental conch shells. So, last week, our Sanjay Prabhu explained the 14th verse. This is a very, very important verse. So, I want to add some additional points on this verse. The acharyas, they explain this verse as a dhyana shlokam, means we should meditate on this verse because this verse introduces in the Lord Krishna, Padsarathi Krishna. So there are certain words, Om Bhurbuvat Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam. So this the 24 and half syllables of Gayatri mantra. So in this Tat, is Gayatri mantra. So any verse starting with Tat, can be termed as a dhyana shlokam. So means the verse to be meditated upon. So here Parsarthi Krishna is being introduced for the first time in Bhagavad Gita. Duryodhana, being a very materialistic person, so far he did not mention about Lord Krishna because he thought that he is not very important. So that is why he did not mention about Krishna so far. But here, Vedavyas Muni, he is introducing Krishna in a very, very grand manner. In South Indian movies, they have a typical hero entry song, and the way there is a way of entrance of a hero. Just like sometimes a heroine is in trouble, and the hero enters on a fast bike or some very nice car. Then he gets down. Instead of lotus feet, they show modern shoes. First, they show the feet, then the thighs, then shoulders, then the face, and then some fight takes place, or then a song breaks out. A song breaks out. So then, in South Indian movies, there is a lot of importance given to hero entry song, like that. So in the same way, here Krishna is being introduced, yeah, in a very nice manner. So tata sveter higher yukte mahati chandano stito madava pandavaschaiva divyo shanko pradatmatuhu. So blowing the conches are Nara and Narayana, giving darshan. So here, the chariot is described as Mahati, a very great chariot, because upon the request of Arjuna and Krishna, Agni Dev gifted Arjuna this divine chariot, Mahati Chandana Stito. So, so this verse actually, if somebody wants to understand Bhagavad Gita, so one should meditate on the form of Krishna in described in this verse. Krishna with a very wonderful, he was dressed very beautifully, wearing yellow cloth, and a very nice crown is wearing, and then his hair is flowing, blackish, uh, thick hair is flowing, and then his hands are reddish, like lotus flowers. Uh, and then this conch is looking like a swan. So it looked like when Krishna was catching hold of the conch and playing it, blowing the conch, it looked like white swans have taken shelter of stems of red lotus flowers. So this is a very beautiful sight to be meditated upon. Shankam sadaham sharanam prapadye, chakram sadaham sharanam prapadye. It is said like that. We should always meditate upon the Krishna blowing conch before reading Bhagavad Gita. So anybody who understands this verse and meditates on this verse, the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita will be revealed in his heart, because it is a dhyana shlokam, because it started with tatasveta tataha, which is a one of the words of Gayatri mantra. Here, um, the it is mentioned by the acharyas that because Krishna is riding the chariot, the chariot of Arjuna, the potency of is infested with Krishna's chariot's potency. So that means Krishna's chariot has entered Arjuna's chariot. So that is why the horses are described as white horses, because Krishna's horses also are white, like that. So, so that is why. So this chariot has become Mahati, divine, very great, like that. So this is confirmed by Vedvyas Muni in Mahabharata, Virat Parva Yuddha, because when Brahmanala wanted to fight against all the Kauravas, he requested Uttara Kumar to drive the chariot, and then he will fight. So originally, Brahmanala came as chariot driver. Then Uttara Kumar became very scared, and then he declined to fight. Then Brahmanala, who is Arjuna in disguise, then he told, "I will fight. You drive the chariot." So when Uttara was you know driving driving the chariot, he commented that Krishna's chariot, so Shakti has entered your chariot. So it is going on its own. I'm not driving, and then I'm feeling that I'm sitting on a divine chariot. So this is mentioned in Virat Parva Yuddha of in Mahabharat. So so this is the speciality of the this chariot, Krishna's entrance, like that. Every day before sleeping in the night, one should remember this verse, memorize this verse, and meditate on this verse. Then the knowledge of Gita will be revealed. So in this verse, only Krishna and Pandava's conscious names are mentioned. Another very, very fantastic aspect is that usually um, the chariot driver is not very important. So that is why Duryodhana mentioned the names of the charioteers, names of the fighters, but he did not mention the names of the charioteers because he did not consider them very important. Because but here is a different thing. When the camera is zoomed on Pandava's uh, Pandava's side, so first it's zoomed on Madhava, Krishna. So why? Because here it is first the chariot driver is mentioned first, then the fighter on the chariot Arjuna was mentioned. Madhava, Pandavas, Chaiva. So this is a very significant, even though because Duryodhana neglected that Krishna is not very important because he's not going to fight, because here it is mentioned that Madhava means husband of goddess of fortune. So wherever Krishna is there, Lakshmi Devi will be present. So there are Ashtalakshmis. One of the Lakshmi was Jaya Lakshmi. So when Krishna is present, means Lakshmi Devi is also present, because Lakshmi Devi is never separate from Narayana. So it is indicating that the victory of Pandavas is assured, like that. So that is why not only that. Um, so then it is also mentioned in Mahabharata that whoever remembers Pandavas, there will not be any drought or water shortages because they are Daiva Swarupas, they are divine personalities, like that. So so if we remember the names of Shanka, the conscious, then we will be able to understand divine knowledge. Then we always should pray to Krishna that he should touch our heads with that conch, with the conch shell. So in the next verse, it is described that Panchajanyam Rishikeshu Devadattam Dhananjaya Pandro Dadmao Mahashankam Bhimakarma Vrikodaraha. So here the names of the conch shells are also mentioned. So Panchajanyam. Um, so when Krishna killed a demon named Panchajanya, who is in the form of a conch. So later on, he brought that conch and started blowing. Then that's why it is called Panchajanya. So Devadattam, Devadattam Dhananjaya means Deva Prasadam, for a devotee. So then Prabhupada explains that Dhananjaya means obtainer of wealth. So when Yudhishthir Maharaj was fallen short of dhana, cash, he went to northern side, defeated many of the kings, and brought the lot of wealth. That is why he is known as Dhananjaya. So every hero was named accordingly, like that. Uh, so Krishna is the Panchajanyam Rishikesha, right? So this Bhima, he was described as Vrukodara and Bhima Karma, like that. Pondro Dadmo Mahashankam, the giant Shanka, so Mahashanka. Bhima himself was a giant, and his strength was like that of a giant, and his paraphernalia was also giant. His conchal also was giant. So that is why names Poundra, Bhima Karma, Vrukodara. So Bhima, the name itself was Hercules, extremely strong. So in English, there is a word called Herculean. So Hercules was a character in Greek or Roman tradition. So he was of a giant strength, and he could do huge amount of work. So many of the characters in Greek or Roman characters, there are derivatives of from the Vedic tradition. So if you look at the thought of Socrates, philosopher, Socrates' friend's wife passes away, and his brother are lamenting. So there, Socrates consoled him by giving 5 reasons about mortality of the immortality of the soul, and those reasons are practically identical to the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So where Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna about the immortality of the soul. So after Kurukshetra war from the Indian mainland, there were many expatriates which went away to various parts in the world. And over the centuries, when the power from Hastinapur became weaker and weaker, the connection with the parent culture became mutinous, and some local culture derivatives also came up. That is why there are similarities between Vedic culture and other cultures of the world, and there are differences also. So, so these Vedic patriarchs consider Greek or Roman culture as expatriates of Vedic civilization. So, Srila Prabhupada talks about this, and it is mentioned in Lilamrita also that. So, Daraha means stomach, and Vruka means giant. So, Vrukodara refers to, Srila Prabhupada mentioned, he is voracious eater. So, Bhima was extremely powerful, and power doesn't come out of a thin air in a person who does lot of powerful work, gets power by eating. So, Bhima Karma, his name is Bhima, and his karma is also Bhima. Here, he is referred by another name, Rukodara. So, so a lot of food that was given to Bhima. So, as Bhima was Bhima Karma Vrukodara, he eats more than, and his tremendous work. So he kept all the Pandavas and Mother Kunti on his shoulder, and and kept running during fire in Lakshagraha. So, uh, so like this. Then uh, Krishna is here. He is described as Krishna described here as Rishikesha. Right? Depending on different bodies, amount of different work, etc. Different people eat different amount of food, and if we are eating less, we shouldn't think that I am more sense controller than others. So it is consistency which is required. Not that today food was very good, so I eat so much, and other day less food as it was not so good. It is natural to take a little more on a regular basis. So if someone needs more food, that is not lack of sense control in Vaishnav culture. So like that. So this Rishikesha is a very important word. So this Rishikesha means honor of the senses. Honor of the senses. So, when we surrender to Krishna, like Arjuna, Krishna has agreed to control the senses of Arjuna. So, that is why when we surrender to Krishna, he will control our senses. Otherwise, it is very difficult. It is very difficult to control the senses. That is why Srila Prabhupada has elaborated on the name Rishikesha. Krishna is the controller of the senses. What is the meaning that there are two meaning? One is objectively. So he is always the controller, and other is subjectively. We accept him as controller, and then we voluntarily agreed to be controlled by him. So objectively means right now I'm speaking, and I think I have right and power to speak. But suppose I develop a bad throat, in that case I am here and my throat is here, but I will lose the power to speak. So objectively it is a reality that my senses are not under my control, although I call my senses as mine, and although frequently I am able to control them, at the same time, there are, uh, there are times when I will not be able to control them. Sometimes people get paralysis or Parkinson or diseases like that. They cannot control their own limbs. So the point here is we have limited powers, and even those power can be taken away at any time. So Krishna is objectively speaking the controller, and based on our past karma, he gives a certain level of control to our body and our senses. So now our perfection is to recognize the objective reality and then subjectively accept Krishna as the controller. That means, Krishna, you're my master, and my senses are your, and I meant to be your servant. And so please engage me in your service. Please accept me as your servant. So when we understand that and accept this principle, that we are moving towards spiritual reality. So that is how the definition of bhakti is. Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevanam, Bhakti Ruchate. So, like this, it is clear, very clear. Then Srila Prabhupada also mentions that Krishna gets his names according to his activities. He is known as Giridhari because he lifted Govardhan hill. He is known as Madhava because he is the husband of goddess of fortune. He is Devaki Nandan because he is the son of Devaki. Like this, he has got many names like that. So Then other leaders also are mentioned. So that is like this. Then we should pray to Krishna's conch and Arjuna's conch to bless us uh, with knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Uh, Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.